Where were you standing when that happened?
I was up at the mine.
You saw the whole thing?
I didn't see him get shot, no.
Yeah. So, how did you get your name, your nickname?
My nickname, I got that when I got back to Ireland. We got up to my grandmother's place. That's my mother's people's place there, my mother and father. I moved up to my father's place in Escanane. And anyway, they said, oh, he's a Yank. That was me. So they all called me the Yank from then on. And a lot of them never knew my last name. It was just the Yank, John the Yank.
Well, in those days, was there an IRA unit that was particularly effective or tough? That had a big reputation?
They were sharpshooters, but they weren't real bad guys there. I don't know, but they were in uniform and they had their barracks right there in the village of Allies.
The IRA did, or the RIC? Who had the barrack?
The policemen.
Okay. And did the IRA have any good units that were effective?
They were on the run all the time. Now, after the mine closed down, some of them would come over the hill there. I don't know who they were, but they knew what they were doing anyway. They probably had worked there. Tim Dwyer had worked in the mine there with me. Did you know Tim Dwyer here in Butte?
Is he related to Liam O'Dwyer?
Yeah.
Were they brothers?
Yeah.
I didn't know Tim, but was Tim in the IRA?
Tim was his uncle.
Oh, Tim was Liam's uncle.
Tim and Liam were brothers.
Yeah, Tim and Liam were brothers.
Was Tim in the IRA too?
Tim, he was working with me at the mine there and used to go home every weekend, him and Driscoll, John Driscoll from the Cross and Iries, and they both joined the IRA. I didn't know I knew them all because for a while there I was making out the payroll sheets in the office there, and I got all their names and everything, you know, and I knew the whole works that were working there.
So whatever became of Tim Dwyer and John Driscoll, what happened to them?
Well, they disappeared, and I didn't know where they went. They went into the IRA, and so I didn't see them around there anymore. But I didn't know where they went to. But Tim was here in Butte, you know.
So he showed up afterwards in Butte.
Oh yeah, him and Pat Sullivan were together all the time. They came out to Canada. Do you know Pat Sullivan?
No.
Pat Seccomb, they called him.
How did they get here? Did they just the same way you got to Ireland and took a train and came back to Butte?
They came. I don't know how they come down over the border. I couldn't tell you that. I don't know.
But they came into Butte and they lived here.
They lived here in Butte, yeah, and Pat Seccomb was his wife was here around St. Mary's Parish right now. She's Lil Holland.
So were there other people in Butte that used to be in the IRA? Did you? There's two that you know of. Were there others?
Oh, sure, there were others. Yeah, there were. Some of them went back that were Irish Americans from here too.
To fight in the IRA?
To fight in the IRA, yeah.
Well, did they get organized here in Butte?
I don't know if they were organized or not, but they disappeared out of here, and that's where they went to.
I see. So when did you come back from Ireland?
I came back, I was in Ireland 7 years, from 1919. I came back out to New York in 26 and was there for 6 years in New York, working, as I said, in the subways and the West Side Express Highway in New York. I ran all the way up along the shore there, inside the docks. It was an overhead express highway. When we put the foundation down up in, for that structure down off 72nd Street, we had to climb down there to the railroad tracks and go out where we were working. And we had to go and dig down there till we got down to 60 or 80 feet. One went down, one of them went down 103 feet there. And then they were working in cylinders, you know, that were about 8 feet across. And it had a cutting edge. They put an edge on the bottom or all around that cut anything. It was like a knife, you know, big, heavy. And they had an air hammer up there that stood about 5.5 or 6 feet high, and it was about that size, you know. And when they turned that air on and turned the air hammer on, you could hear that for miles around there. And it'd drive they put a beam across the top of that cylinder, and it'd drive it down. And if they hit any, that was filled in ground there, you know, and they had been piers there and stuff, and if they hit one of them old piers or something that had 12 by 12 blocks of wood in it, you know, big long timbers, then they'd have to keep it pumped out, or if they couldn't pump it out, they'd have to send a diver down, and the diver would go down, and he'd clear that piece of wood off underneath where it was caught underneath that cylinder, and he'd mud cap the powder down there, and then they'd come up and they'd cover the crane, they'd throw a screen over the top, and the powder monkey to put the blast off, and a piece of wood would come up inside.
Did you work down in that cylinder at all? Did you go down in there?
I worked down there shoveling, yeah.
Did a lot of shoveling?
A lot of shoveling in 8th Avenue too, in the subway there.
So you finally, about 1932, came back to Butte then?
1932, I left New York, and I came out to Kansas City, and met my 2 sisters there. And then I came out to Denver and visited my other sister there. And then I came back out to Butte.
Were you all pretty close, you and your sisters?
Yeah, we've always been close.
Yeah, so they would write to you all the time and you stayed in touch?
Yeah, they used to write to me. I got cards that they sent to Ireland. I got them in the scrapbook.
Oh, good. So when you got to Butte, what did you do to make a living?
Well, it was in the height of the Depression, you know, and there wasn't much doing. Well, I done some prospecting. You go out to Missoula Gulch. Did you know where Missoula Gulch is at? Up in Seccomb, is it? And we pan and sluice there for gold. Now, we wouldn't get very much, you know. But if we got 75 cents worth in the day, we'd have something, you know.
Well, where'd the gold in Missoula Gulch come from? Was it up there below Walkerville behind that?
That came down from that Missoula Gulch. This was all a gold camp before it was a copper mining camp.
So there's still gold in some of the dirt?
Oh, there's gold in the dirt, yeah. But most of it is worked over. The Chinamen even worked over the the chicken flat up in Waterloo, you know.
Yeah. So you